Out of all of the franchises that Nintendo has in its first-party lineup, I think my favorite is Kirby. Of course, that's a very strange thing to hear when you look at my website, because I've only reviewed one Kirby game in the past 4 years and 4 months I've had the site going, and that was the 3D Classics version of Kirby's Adventure. Kirby Star Allies changes all of that. Despite all of the pushback Nintendo has been getting over this new Kirby title, only one bit of information was enough to get me to want and pre-purchase this game so I could play through it. The confirmation that Meta Knight, my favorite Kirby character, would be recruitable and playable. So let's get right to this. Here is my review of Kirby Star Allies for the Nintendo Switch. In Kirby Star Allies, strange purple hearts fly down from the sky, corrupting anyone and anything that they touch. At the same time, Kirby is granted the ability to throw hearts at his enemies and turn them into his friends. Prepared to make new friends on the way, Kirby sets off on an adventure to track down the purple hearts and whoever is throwing them at his home. Now, Kirby games never really were that heavy on story, but one thing this game does really well is expand the lore of the franchise, especially towards a certain character that never really gets the spotlight in the story outside of lore and fan theories. I can't give you any details on this, but if you're a fan of the franchise, the end of the 2 campaign modes will definitely surprise you. Like Return to Dreamland and Amazing Mirror before it, Kirby Star Allies is a side-scrolling platformer with combat and multiplayer elements. The basic gameplay of Kirby Star Allies is very much like previous Kirby games. You've got side-scrolling levels to go through, enemies to eat and copy abilities from, bosses to fight, and of course lots of collectibles for you to find, as well as secret areas so you can unlock new stages that aren't just on the main story path. In this regard, Star Allies is like a giant love letter to Kirby fans. There are so many references to past games, and elements that are there for the nostalgia. Like the reason I was so excited to play this game in the first place. Meta Knight as a playable character. The biggest thing that Star Allies brings to the table, and the element that pretty much every part of the game is built around, is co-op multiplayer and a party-based recruitment system. Whenever you encounter an enemy or a mini-boss that you could get a copy ability from, you could eat them and gain that copy ability. Alternatively though, you can throw a star at them and recruit them into your 4-member party so they'll follow you around, help you fight puzzles, and help you fight off enemies and bosses. But this is not the first time Kirby has experimented with co-op multiplayer and party-based gameplay mechanics. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror on the Game Boy Advance had a party-based system, and Return to Dreamland for the Wii and Wii U also had a co-op system where someone could pick up a controller and start playing as a second character. The only truly new aspect to this game is the ability to recruit any power-based enemy or mini-boss that you come across instead of just controlling legendary characters like Kirby and King Dedede. And this party-based system is expanded further in the game through puzzles that require multi-character formations or combination abilities. And what you need to do depends on the puzzle. Some puzzles in the game require you to combine elemental and physical weapon powers to get past an obstacle, while others require you to have a very Yoshi's Island-esque transformation where your 4 party members make a formation to form a wheel or a flying star or a train to demolish through obstacles that are otherwise heeding your progress. This is also where the multiplayer focus comes in. Normally, when you've got allies in your party, all of them will be controlled by CPU, the AI. But if someone has an extra controller lying around, they can just tap the L and R buttons, and one of those allies will become player 2. And that leads me into my next topic for debate. The debate that almost everyone is having about this game. Its lack of difficulty. When the demo first dropped on the eShop, I saw a lot of people referring to Star Allies as Return to Dreamland 2. And after doing some research, I found that they called it that because Return to Dreamland was a very easy game that seemed to lack any form of difficulty. Now, I'm not going to tell you those people are wrong. Star Allies is a very easy game, but I'm going to tell you why it's an easy game. Well, easy probably isn't the right word. Let's call it unbalanced. And the game is unbalanced because of the CPU, the AI partners. When you come across a puzzle and you're by yourself, you think, alright, I'm going to have to figure out what powers I need, and in the middle of that thought, Not only does a little notification come up on screen to tell you exactly what powers you need, but the game also, 9 times out of 10, gives you the exact powers you need right in front of the puzzle, and if you have any allies with those powers, they will immediately dash right in front of you before you can even think about it and solve the puzzle for you. And in combat, I don't know if it was because of the allies that I chose to put in my party, but in every battle I was in, no matter what power I seemed to have on Kirby, my AI partners not only were way more aggressive than me in battle, but did a lot more damage than I did. I wasn't even able to finish 2/3 of the boss fights because my allies did it for me. Now, I'm not saying it's so easy that the game will play itself, but I could probably get away with going into some of the early bosses and standing still while my legion of brainwashed friends ran forward and proceeded to ruin their day. But let's get past all of this doom and gloom game is too easy nonsense and talk about content and length. The story mode of Kirby Star Allies sports around 40 stages, that's counting all of the extra stages you can unlock by finding hidden levers in secret rooms. And it took me between 7 and 8 hours to clear that story mode. Now once you clear story mode, you get a lengthy post-game story level, but more importantly you get 2 new game modes, a boss rush type mode and the second campaign, Guest Star Star Allies Go. This mode lets you play as any of the recruitable characters in a mashup campaign made up of story levels as well as new sections and a unique final boss that is the key to all of that lore expansion that I talked about in the story section of this review. And as far as time goes, a single run of the Guest Star campaign mode probably take you about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit more, depending on what character you use and how good you are at playing as them. And as far as total time, let's assume you're not a total completionist. You're not one of those people that has to do literally everything there is to do. We're looking at about 7 to 8 hours for the story mode, and a couple hours for maybe 1 or 2 runs of the Guest Star mode. That leaves your total at around 9 to 10 hours. Now that's not too bad for a platformer, but it's not great for a fully priced title. 9 to 10 hours for $60? Well, I'll leave that up to you on whether you think that's worth it or not. Now let's talk about presentation. The visuals of Star Allies are probably one of the best visuals I've seen in a Kirby game to date. There are little to no jagged edges on the character models in and out of docked mode, and the world just looks very colorful and very vibrant. And let's talk about battery life. Being so high in the visual element, I expected battery life to be not so hot. Here are my battery times from 100% to 0%. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 2 hours and 54 minutes. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 3 hours and 6 minutes. Lower brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 3 hours and 33 minutes. Lower brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 3 hours and 45 minutes. Now this is on the lower half of the spectrum, but it's more than I thought, so I'll take it. Now, in conclusion, Kirby Star Allies may not be the most groundbreaking entry in the series to date. It definitely has its flaws through the CPU ally unbalancing and the amount of content you get for the full price of the game. But fans of the series will find a very vibrant, colorful, and charming platformer for them to casually trek through. Reviews to Go rates Kirby Star Allies for the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below or head to the website at www.reviewstogo.com.